In exactly 21 days, everything you know about carry-on luggage becomes obsolete. The bag you've used for years, it might be getting rejected at the gate. That roller suitcase you bought last month could be too big under the new rules. Airlines just announced the biggest carry-on policy change in aviation history, and most travelers have no idea it's coming. One major airline is already confiscating bags at boarding. Another is charging fees that didn't exist last week. And the reason behind these changes? It's not what you think. Here's what they're not telling you at ticket counters. These new rules aren't just about size. There's a weight restriction most people don't know about. There's a personal item definition that just changed. And there's a loophole that could save you hundreds in checked bag fees, but only if you know it exists. The final rule on this list is the most controversial, and it's already causing fights at airports. Stay until the end, because what's coming on? February 1st will completely change how you pack for every flight. The new size restrictions, smaller than you think. Let's start with the change that's affecting everyone, whether you fly once a year or once a week. The old carry-on standard was 22, 14 was 9 inches. That's been the rule for decades. Most airlines followed it loosely. Your bag could be slightly bigger, and they'd usually let it slide if the flight wasn't full. That era just ended. Starting February 1st, 2026, the new maximum carry-on dimensions are 21.5, 13.5, and 9 inches across all major US carriers. That's half an inch smaller in 2 dimensions. Sounds minor, right? Here's why it's not. That half-inch reduction eliminates approximately 15% of internal packing volume. The bags that fit before, the ones you've used for years, many of them won't meet the new standard. And here's the kicker. Airlines are installing new bag sizers at every gate, not just at check-in. At the gate, right before boarding. If your bag doesn't fit in the sizer, you're forced to check it. And that's where the fees hit. Gate-checked bags cost $35 to $50 depending on the airline, even if you already paid for a carry-on with your ticket. Some budget airlines are charging up to $75 for gate-checked bags. But here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Airlines claim this is about overhead bin space and faster boarding. The truth? It's a revenue generator. Industry analysts predict these new restrictions will generate over $840 million annually in checked bag fees from passengers who used to travel carry-on only. Sarah from Denver discovered this the hard way during the January trial period. Her carry-on bag that she'd used for 47 flights suddenly didn't fit the new sizer at her gate. She was forced to check it, paid $45, and her bag was lost for 3 days, all because of half an inch. Here's what you need to know. If you bought carry-on luggage before 2026, measure it carefully. Don't trust the manufacturers. Label, measure the actual dimensions including wheels, handles, and any external pockets. If it's over 21.5, 13.5 to 9 inches, you need a new bag, or you'll be paying fees constantly. The personal item. Crackdown. Your backpack might be too big. Now here's the rule change that's catching even experienced travelers off guard. You've always been allowed one carry-on bag plus one personal item. The personal item was loosely defined. A purse, backpack, laptop bag, something that fits under the seat. Airlines rarely measured or enforced strict rules. That just changed dramatically. Starting February 1st, personal items have a new maximum size. 17 by 10 by 9 inches. And here's what's shocking. Many standard backpacks exceed these dimensions. That North Face backpack everyone uses? Too big. Most laptop backpacks? Too big. Large purses and totes? Many are too big. But here's where it gets frustrating. Airlines are now counting your personal item toward your total carry-on allowance if it exceeds the new dimensions. So you could board with just a backpack, no roller bag, and if that backpack is over 17 or 10, 9 inches, they're considering it your carry-on. That means you technically have no personal item allowance left. The enforcement is inconsistent, which makes it worse. Some gate agents measure strictly. Others don't check at all. You never know what you're getting until you're at the gate, which creates anxiety and confusion. Here's the real impact. Families traveling with kids are getting hit hardest. A diaper bag that's been perfectly acceptable for years is suddenly over the limit. Parents are being told to consolidate or check bags with young children while trying to board a plane. It's chaos. Michael and Jennifer from Texas were traveling with their 2-year-old. Their diaper bag was deemed too large as a personal item. They were forced to consolidate essentials into a smaller bag while holding a toddler, with 50 people in line behind them. Jennifer posted the experience online, and it went viral with thousands of parents sharing similar horror stories, the weight limit that nobody's talking about. Here's the new rule that's flying completely under the radar. Literally nobody's discussing it, but it's about to affect millions of travelers. Starting February 1st, carry-on bags have a maximum weight limit: 22 pounds for your main carry-on, 15 pounds for your personal item. Wait, what? Carry-ons have weight limits now? This is standard in international travel, especially in Europe and Asia. But American Airlines have never enforced carry-on weight limits. If you could lift it into the overhead bin, it was fine. Not anymore. Here's why this matters more than the size restrictions. You can pack a 21.5-inch bag extremely efficiently and hit 35–40 pounds easily. Heavy shoes, books, laptops, toiletries, winter coats, it adds up fast. And now, if your bag weighs more than 22 pounds, you're forced to check it. But here's the sinister part. Most airports don't have scales at the gates yet, so enforcement is random and inconsistent. Some airlines are using handheld scales, some gate agents are eyeballing it, some aren't checking at all. You have no idea if your bag will pass until you're boarding. The lack of consistency is creating anxiety for travelers. Do you pack light just to be safe? Do you risk it and hope your gate agent doesn't check? What happens if you're on a connecting flight and the first gate didn't check weight, but the second one does? Industry critics are calling this the gotcha rule, designed to catch travelers off guard and force last-minute checked bag fees when people are most vulnerable and least able to repack. The prohibited item list just expanded dramatically. Now we're getting into territory that's genuinely changing what you can travel with. The TSA expanded the prohibited carry-on items list significantly for 2026. Some changes make sense. Others are baffling travelers and causing confusion. Here's what you can no longer carry on. Effective February 1st, lithium batteries over 100 watt-hours are now completely prohibited in both carry-on and checked bags. This affects high-capacity power banks, professional camera batteries, and some laptop batteries. If you have them, you can't fly with them at all anymore. Aerosol containers over 3.4 ounces are prohibited, even if they're not toiletries. This includes spray sunscreen, dry shampoo, cooking spray, and insect repellent. The previous exemption for medically necessary aerosols has been eliminated. Now all aerosols follow the liquid rule strictly. Any device with a heating element is prohibited in carry-ons. This includes portable steamers, hair straighteners, curling irons, and travel irons. You can pack them in checked bags, but not carry-ons. The rationale is fire safety concerns in overhead bins. But here's the one that's causing the most controversy. Smart luggage with non-removable batteries is now prohibited entirely. If the battery can't be removed, the bag can't fly, not as carry-on, not as checked luggage. Thousands of travelers who invested in expensive smart luggage over the past 5 years are discovering their bags are now useless for air travel. Rachel from Seattle bought a $400 away smart suitcase with integrated charging and GPS tracking. The battery isn't removable, it's built into the frame for design reasons. She showed up for her flight in January and was told the bag couldn't fly at all. She had to leave it at the airport, buy a new bag at an airport shop for $150 and repack everything while missing her flight. The one bag loophole you need to know. Here's where we get to the strategy that savvy travelers are using to beat the new restrictions. Airlines define carry-on allowance as one bag plus one personal item. But there's no rule about wearing items. And there's no rule about items you're actively using during boarding. Enter the travel vest and travel jacket strategy. These are vests and jackets with 15 to 20 strategically placed pockets designed to hold everything from tablets to water bottles to shoes. You wear them during boarding. They're not a bag, they're clothing. Once you're on the plane and in your seat, you take off the vest and it fits under the seat. Technically compliant, slightly ridiculous looking, but genuinely effective. You can also wear a neck pillow stuffed with clothing, hang a camera around your neck, carry a jacket with heavy items in the pockets, and wear your heaviest shoes. These items don't count toward your bag allowance or weight limit because you're wearing them. Flight attendants and gate agents know about these strategies. Some think it's clever, some find it annoying. But they can't stop you because you're following the rules technically. The enforcement varies wildly by airline. Here's what's creating massive confusion. Not all airlines are implementing these rules the same way. United and American are strictly enforcing size and weight at major hubs, but being more lenient at smaller airports. Delta is using new automated bag sizers that measure precisely. Southwest is barely enforcing the new rules at all yet, but they've announced strict enforcement begins March 1st. Budget carriers like Spirit and Frontier, they're enforcing aggressively because checked bag fees are a huge revenue source for them. They have gate agents with measuring tapes and scales checking every single passenger. International carriers operating US flights have different rules entirely. British Airways, Lufthansa, and Emirates follow their own standards, which sometimes conflict with US domestic rules. If you're connecting from an international flight to domestic, you might face different restrictions on each leg. The inconsistency is frustrating travelers. Your bag is acceptable on Monday's flight, but gets rejected on Friday's flight with the same airline. You follow the rules perfectly on your outbound flight, but your return flight enforces different standards. The technology behind enforcement: automated bag sizers. Here's the technology change that's making these new rules enforceable in ways that weren't possible before. Airlines are installing automated bag sizer stations at gates. These aren't the old metal frame sizers you could squeeze your bag into. These are high-tech measuring stations with sensors that detect if your bag exceeds dimensions by even a millimeter. You slide your bag in. Sensors measure. A screen displays red or green. Red means you're checking the bag and paying the fee. There's no wiggle room. No squishing, no arguing with gate agents about whether it fits. Some systems are even connected to your boarding pass. Scan your pass, measure your bag, and if it's oversized, the system automatically adds the checked bag fee to your credit card on file. You can't board until you accept the charge. The efficiency is impressive from an airline perspective. The passenger experience: many find it dehumanizing and frustrating. What airlines aren't telling you? The real reason. Here's the truth behind these changes that airlines won't openly discuss. This isn't primarily about safety or passenger comfort. It's about revenue and turnaround times. Every minute a plane sits at the gate costs airlines thousands of dollars. Boarding delays caused by passengers struggling with oversized carry-ons are expensive. By forcing more checked bags, airlines speed up boarding and increase on-time performance. But the bigger factor is revenue. Checked bag fees generate over $5 billion annually for US airlines. That revenue was declining as passengers mastered carry-on-only travel. These new restrictions reverse that trend. Industry analysts predict that by forcing 15 to 20% of current carry-on travelers to check bags, airlines will generate an additional $800 million to $1 billion in annual fee revenue. The size and weight restrictions are calibrated precisely to maximize this outcome, strict enough to catch people, but not so strict that it causes massive passenger rebellion. How to adapt. The smart traveler's strategy. Here's what you need to do before February 1st to avoid surprises and fees. First, measure your current carry-on and personal item bags precisely. Use a tape measure. Check all 3 dimensions, including wheels and handles. If either exceeds the new limits, you need new bags. Second, invest in bags specifically designed for the new restrictions. Several luggage companies are already selling 2026 compliant bags. These maximize packing space within the new dimensions and often include features like compression straps and strategic pockets. Third, weigh your packed bags before leaving for the airport. Buy a luggage scale for $15. Know your bag weight before you arrive. If you're over 22 pounds for carry-on or 15 pounds for personal item, redistribute or remove items. Fourth, pack strategically. Heavy items like shoes and toiletries should be in your personal item when possible. Keep your main carry-on for lighter, bulkier items like clothing. Fifth, wear your heaviest items. Heavy jacket, boots, camera. Wear them during boarding, then remove them once seated. Sixth, sign up for airline credit cards that include free checked bags as a benefit. If you fly frequently, and these restrictions will force you to check bags regularly, the annual fee often pays for itself after just 2 round trips. The controversy. Is this legal? Here's the question legal experts are debating. Can airlines unilaterally change carry-on rules that have been standard for decades? Consumer advocacy groups are arguing that these restrictions violate the spirit of advertised ticket prices. When you buy a ticket that includes a carry-on, you're expecting to bring a standard-sized bag. Changing the definition of standard after purchase could be considered deceptive. Some legal experts believe class action lawsuits are coming, especially from passengers who bought luggage specifically to fit previous airline standards. The Department of Transportation has received over 12,000 complaints about the new rules since they were announced in December, but regulatory action is slow, and the February 1st implementation date is happening regardless. The international confusion factor. Here's what's creating problems for international travelers. These rules only apply to U.S. domestic flights and U.S. carriers. If you're flying internationally, different rules apply depending on the airline and destination country. European carriers have different standards. Asian carriers have different standards. Connecting through different countries means navigating different restrictions on each leg of your journey. A traveler flying from New York to London to Dubai to Singapore could face 4 different sets of carry-on rules. Your bag might be compliant for the first flight, but oversized for the third. The complexity is maddening. What happens if you ignore these rules? Here's the reality of non-compliance. You'll pay. If your bag doesn't fit the new sizers at the gate, you have 3 options. Option 1, pay the gate check fee, $35 to $75 depending on airline, and let them check your bag. You'll get it at baggage claim at your destination. Option 2, if you have a personal item that's compliant, consolidate everything into that smaller bag and check your carry-on. You still pay the fee, but at least you keep essential items with you. Option 3, don't fly. Refuse to pay, leave the airport, and forfeit your ticket. Most people choose option 1. Some get creative with option 2. Almost nobody chooses option 3, which is exactly what airlines are counting on. You're in a vulnerable position at the gate. You've already invested time and money getting to the airport, you have plans at your destination, you're under time pressure. Airlines know you'll pay, rather than turn around the future. What's coming next? Here's what insiders are predicting for the next phase of restrictions. By 2027, expect universal weight limits at all gates with mandatory scales. The technology is already being tested at select airports. By 2028, some analysts predict carry-on fees will be introduced. You'll pay extra just for the privilege of bringing a carry-on, similar to how checked bags work now. Basic economy tickets might include no bags at all, not even a personal item. The trend is clear. Airlines are monetizing every aspect of what used to be included in your ticket price. Carry-on luggage is the latest frontier. These new carry-on rules, starting February 1st, 2026, represent the biggest shift in domestic air travel policies in decades. Whether you fly frequently or occasionally, these changes will affect you. The key is preparation. Know the new sizes, weights, and prohibited items before you get to the airport. Invest in compliant bags. Pack strategically. And understand the enforcement. Will be strict and revenue-focused. If this breakdown helped you prepare for the February 1st changes, hit that like button. Subscribe for more travel updates that save you money and stress. Drop a comment. Are these new rules justified, or have airlines gone too far? The golden age of carry-on-only travel just ended. Adapt or pay the price. Or pay the price. Or pay the price.